a lot of people are scared of lawyers, so it shows me in a different light. Like I'm just a regular person. My wife gives me hell like the next guy. I'm not some big tough lawyer that's telling everyone what to do. And it gives you content. You don't have to talk about being a lawyer all the time.
Sharp strategies, sweet success. Hello, everyone, and welcome. You're listening to Sharp Strategy, Sweet Success. I'm your host, Tiffany Swedensky. And today I'm talking to Joshua Hodges of the Hometown Lawyer. And you guys are in Ohio, right?
Yeah, Southwest Ohio.
No, should have confirmed that before I started. I thought I knew, though.
I got the hat on,
Think I first started noticing Josh when he started posting on TikTok. He's one of the first lawyers who made use of that social media platform effectively. And what I like about Josh's approach to a lot of the social channels is it's very personal to him. He's not talking about the law. He doesn't appear to be working from a content plan. And the content is all really authentic, and he just puts himself out there and it fits with his brand. He's the hometown lawyer. And what I've known of Josh, and I'll just gas him up a little bit more before I let him introduce himself, but his firm has grown really fast in his home state of Ohio and has expanded technically beyond his true hometown. And it's just really impressive to watch from a distance. So thank you so much, Josh, for being on the show with us today. And I'll let you talk a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, man, that's pretty much it. I mean, I didn't become an attorney until I was a little bit older than most people. I was 32 when I got licensed, and then I worked in big law for a couple of years. So I was like 34, 35 when I decided to go all in and try to build a PI firm. And nobody in my family was attorneys. So I didn't really have a lot of connections or a lot of money or any of that stuff that a lot of times you might need. But I think I just knew that I knew kind of my community better. Like I grew up in a working class town and a working class part of the working class town, I guess. And I just knew that I could maybe speak to those people, and you had to figure out how to do that. And I mean, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, would I be doing videos on TikTok, I would have said no, but kind of saw that it was an opportunity and made the best of it. I didn't love doing it at first, but I thought it was important. And then I kind of grew to like it. Once you kind of, I think a lot of people think that at the surface level, it's just kind of a lot of unserious people in there. But, I learned pretty quick that wasn't true. And I thought at first you have to be like a serious attorney. You see a lot of attorneys doing those serious videos, and they're just boring to make. And they're boring. If they're boring to make, they're boring to watch. And no one wants to get on their phone and be bored. The whole reason most of them are on there are to be entertained to some extent. I don't ever really want to be silly on there, but I just show my personality. I highlight a lot of stuff I see around town that I think people might be interested in, and just try to do good. I think that social media is similar to networking in person. And if you're a good networker in person, you're usually trying to give more than you receive. That should be your attempt. And then you'll get some stuff down the road if you do that the correct way. So I just try to highlight other people on my social media more. People on my team, I talk about ourselves some, but probably less than 10% of my videos are talking about being an attorney. Because there's only so much to say. I mean, you can just keep repeating the same uninsured motorist. Make sure you have this on your policies. This gets old. You got to talk about something else.
Yeah. And in my experience, attorneys get kind of scared because it's like, oh, well, we don't want to talk about that because we don't want to attract that kind of case. But it's kind of missing the point. People are on the internet to be entertained, not, be educated, even though education feels like a safer route. And I think that's why a lot of people try to take that safer route and make like FAQ videos.
Mm-hmm.
So just for my curiosity, because I'm in the same boat you are. I graduated college late, technically. I was like 27. And well, I'll ask you before I explain myself, but do you feel like that held you back at all? Or did you like experience like any obstacles because you graduated a little bit older?
Yeah, I mean, I used to think it held me back a lot. And obviously, biology, I was biologically older than everyone that was pretty much in my class. Definitely when I entered big law, everyone was pretty much straight through school. But I think part of that was probably just in my brain, we have self-doubt maybe, but I was like 7 years older than most of the people graduating. But I think once we got out and we got licensed, I started catching up faster to people who were my, real age. And I think it's partly because, a lot of people want a lawyer that maybe is, everyone thinks the lawyer that's got gray hair that's been a lawyer 40 years is good. And part of it's he or she's been a lawyer for 40 years, but part of that's they've just been alive for 40 more years, I think, really, the more I've thought about it. Part of an older lawyer knows a lot because they've been a lawyer a long time, but a lot of being a lawyer is not just the law, it's just being, you know, wise from life experience. So while I had only been a lawyer 1 or 2 years, I had a kid, I had a house, I'd been married. I'd done a lot of things that people who were 24 or 25 had not. So I think I got clients to hire me quicker than some of my people I graduated with. And it makes sense. I was older. I looked older. I sounded older. Yeah, I had more in common with someone who was 50 years old at 35 than maybe a 25-year-old did. So I do think my career took off a little bit quicker than some of the people I graduated law school with. And now I think at this point, I'm 42, about to be 43. I feel like I've caught most people my age, and I don't even really think about it that much anymore. But yeah, and also I think I had a chip on my shoulder. I felt like I was behind, so I was always running faster than I would have otherwise, and I think that probably helps. When I try to keep, that little chip on my shoulder that I need to go a little faster to catch up. Can't be bad to trying a little, always be trying a little harder.
Yeah. It's a funny thing about having a chip on your shoulder. It can motivate you and it can mess with your mindset, and put
Yeah,
you in a bad headspace. So you got to pick a lane there. And, I'll have to say I agree because I did graduate technically older, than my peers. And initially it was like a mental thing for me. Like I didn't want people to know, I didn't want to emphasize that. But like looking back, like I don't think anyone cared but me.
yeah.
And, it's just a mindset thing. Like often our own limitations don't hold us back. It's that we think, I guess, that they hold us back.
For sure. I mean, some of it's real. I mean, now I was kind of broke as a kid. Some of those things are real, and it was a hurdle, but eventually it can be like a strength if you get to the point of the hill. Like going up the hill, you can doubt yourself, and it is hard if you're broke or your parents, you got a weird family life, whatever. But once you get to believing in yourself, it kind of becomes a strength. Like, it gives me things to talk about. I've been through a lot of stuff, I'm in the hospital right now. My daughter, nothing too serious, but like me and my wife have dealt with a lot of stuff with a child that has serious health problems. Those 7 years, all during my 20s, I didn't get through undergrad till I was 29. So all during those years, I worked in factories. I worked all sorts of jobs. Now it gives me things to talk about. So when I'm trying to sign up a big case or someone's thinking about hiring me and they work in a factory and I can talk about working on a machine and I got a burn on my arm, working in New Miami at the plant that everybody knows, that's something other lawyers can't talk about. So I think it gives me an advantage in a way, so everything, there's two sides of every coin. Did it hold me back and I got started slower? Sure. Kind of wish I could have been running this firm for 15 years instead of 8. Where would I be? But who knows? It might have been worse.
And in general, we underestimate the importance of life experience. Because I remember just starting out in my marketing career, I was like every other marketer. I thought I knew everything and even knew better than the people who were trying to teach me marketing. And I was so wrong, just absolutely so wrong. And there's some things you can't teach. There's some things you learn, by doing, by seeing it. And that experience gives you the confidence to, talk to people and push back. And also, like you said, gives you stories to tell, which is really excellent. So, mostly for my curiosity, I'm honestly just really curious about your TikTok habits. So, I see your videos all the time, often like POV, we're watching your wife cook or something happen around the house. Very rarely is it like you and Frame talking. Do you just like are you just walking around the house and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna record this," or have you developed an instinct for that? Do you plan it? Like, how do you create that?
Not very much as planned for sure. I do think you get an instinct for what works over time. And we don't really plan it, but I think it's important to have in my brain, I think of I got segments or series that I run, and it's not planned, but like sometimes I'm going to pull out, talk to the camera if I think of something about the law or something's happening in the firm. That's one. If I'm out and about heading to court or heading to a networking thing and I see a pretty building I've never seen before that's old, or I stop in a small town restaurant, that's always a series I could talk about local highlights. Then I have where I highlight the businesses. And then I have the thing where I talk to my wife. So I know if I haven't posted any of the other ones on any given day, I always have the fallback of when I go home, I can just talk to my wife. Usually she's cooking something. Sometimes she's not. If she's not, I'll just start talking to her and whatever her hands are doing. She's like, I'm not cooking crap for you today. And we're getting peanut butter jelly sandwich. That could be it. Usually she's cooking something and I can talk about what she's cooking. And we've been together since we were 18. So a long time. So we have a good banter back and forth. She's really funny too if I get her going. Like on her own, she really won't get out her shell much. But if I start like giving her a little bit of crap or make fun of her a little bit, she'll start being kind of funny too. I think I always know I had that as content, and we don't have to plan it. I can just whatever it is, it is. Some are better than others, but that's fine, you know. And a lot of people are scared of lawyers, so it shows me in a different light. Like I'm just a regular person. My wife gives me hell like the next guy. You know, I'm not some big tough lawyer that's telling everyone what to do. And it gives you content. You know, you don't have to talk about being a lawyer all the time. My name on the TikTok is the Hometown Lawyer, so they know I'm a lawyer. I don't have to talk about it all the time. And I like being a lawyer, but I don't want to talk about it all the time. I mean, it's your job. You know, I do like it. You are, as an attorney, you're already thinking about your firm and being a business owner, your clients all the time anyway. All my content doesn't have to be like that, but I do try to talk about the stuff we do sometimes because it is important to educate people. But I think, you know, if I start off trying to teach you things the first time you see me, you don't even know me, you don't like me, you don't trust me, it's like you're more likely, I think, to shut down. If you've watched me just be a normal guy in your neighborhood or around your town for a year, then when I tell you you might want to check about uninsured motorists, you might be more likely to actually listen to me. And that's the point of education, kind of. So, like, you know, everybody's got their own style. I think I don't plan it much, but I do plan that I'm going to post something every day. And I do have a videographer that'll shoot maybe like 10 or 20 video in one session when I'm talking about being a lawyer. And then we'll post those periodically. So I only need him like once a month to do those. So there's a strategy that I'm going to create a lot of content, but it's not like I definitely don't have a monthly. Anytime I've talked to someone, they're telling me to do a monthly content plan. Like I don't like that, and I'm sure it works for some people better than nothing. I just don't want to do that personally. I feel restricted, and every day I'm not in the same mood. You know, like so if we've planned that Friday I'm going to talk about X Y Z, and I don't feel like doing it that day. I just feel like talking about a mural I saw. You know, like I think it's more that's what I like doing. And you got to pick what works for you. Some people like just the talking head, and I see they do tons of that. That's great. I mean, it is not what I want to do all the time.
Yeah, I always tell people that the business owner is the most effective at promoting the business. And when you're a business owner and you're a content creator, which you solidly fall into that category, the business owner doesn't need a content plan. The content plan is for your marketing team. You
Yeah.
know, they're the ones who need to be planning ahead because they don't have the privilege you do of being the star, you know,
Yeah.
basically. You're the
It's
star of the
easier.
show. So you have a ton of you know, I will still say, like, if you're a marketing team member or you're managing a marketing team, you absolutely do need a content plan. But, you know, creators don't because it's really intuitive and you have to be passionate about the topic. And so it's best to like just record the video, write the article when you're on fire about it because
Yeah.
that's when you're going to get the best work. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it just has to be real. I mean, I think people really can tell when it's contrived or it's all super planned out. And that doesn't necessarily mean it won't work because doing anything is better than nothing. Most people don't do anything, you know, like, so if you do some contrived videos that are like super planned out, that's better than what most people are doing. That's fine. And I did that early on, but you do kind of get, once you get a following and people are following you, they like you, interact with them. That's a big part people don't talk about enough is interacting with other people's content. Everyone worries about what they're going to post. Everyone worries about when they're going to post, how they're going to edit their video. I think you should spend a good chunk of your time online commenting on other people's stuff, watching other people's stuff, because that's like networking. I mean, and I talked about that. I think you were Vegas, but like if everything you always cared about in real life networking was the stories you're going to tell as Tiffany, and you never want to listen to anyone else's stories or help anyone else or support their joke or whatever it is, like their content, it's not going to, you're not going to be a very good in-person networker because everyone knows somebody like that. They're usually the people don't like that much. So it's give and take. And I think there are people I see online that are always supporting other people's content. And I see them online all the time. And I have a positive like vibe with them because I see them doing that. And I don't even remember their content all that much. So I think there's a strategy of just being a supporter a lot, you know. So if you have a little following, and people are commenting on your stuff, shame on you if you don't like interact with them sometimes. You know, like that's where the magic really happens. I think people spend way too much worrying about what they're going to post and not enough about how they're going to interact and spend time with the people who comment and in other people's videos.
And you're absolutely right. When I hit that mindset shift, because I was guilty of that, I was always posting, never commenting. My social media was all me, 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 me. And then, like a year, I guess almost 2 years ago, I was like, oh, I'm not a celebrity. Nobody cares. You know, nobody
Yeah.
cares about me. That's when I started spending more time commenting on other people's comment across all platforms. And it benefited me personally because people see when you comment, people are exposed to you there. And it's an effective way just to expand and talk and reach more people. And most of my audience probably won't know who this guy is, but his name is Meat Canyon. His YouTube channel name is Papa Meat or Meat Canyon. He did a video about LinkedIn and making fun of LinkedIn and how people using LinkedIn. And it's really cutting for people like us who post on LinkedIn regularly. But I think
Yeah.
it's worth a watch because it was jarring for me to see an outsider analyze how egotistical and self-centered we can be on these platforms. And it
Yeah.
made me think like, oh, yeah.
And I think people don't do it on purpose. I think people know in real life in a networking event, it's give and take more than they do on social media. And it's mostly because they're so self conscious on social media, what they're going to post. So it's not like self centeredness in the way we would think of it as a negative. It's more just self consciousness. And they're so scared they're going to sound stupid. So they're always worried about that. And that's where it comes from. I was like that too. Definitely on LinkedIn, like I'm more self-conscious on there than I am in videos. Just, I went to public school. I didn't pay attention to it when I was there. So they were probably teaching me fine, but I'm not always the most polished for an attorney as a writer, like just naturally. Like I really have to like concentrate to write, properly, which I can do, but it's not just naturally like a big fluid, perfect thing like some people I know can. And so I have to really take time or I'll make a stupid mistake or a typo like every time. So I'm not as comfortable on that platform as I am. I always feel like I'm pretty, personable and good at BSing around and talking with people. So I'm not as self-conscious on video. But with over time, with either one, you get more comfortable. And then when you're more comfortable, people say like I see people like, you're so good. He's like, I don't really feel like I'm that good at them. I just do them and I don't care if it's great or perfect or not. And people feel you're more comfortable and then you kind of get the ball rolling. And then you're not as self-conscious and you let your guard down more. And then people, it like expands like what you're able to do once you get a little more confident.
I think that the good thing about marketing is that if your marketing is bad, nobody will see it, no matter how much you try to promote it. And I think people have it in their heads like, oh, I don't want to put something out there that's not perfect because everyone will see it's not perfect. But that's not how marketing works. If it's not good, nobody's going to see it.
Yeah.
And so you're just better off making stuff until figure out what people want to see.
Yeah, and I think perfect, for me, I kind of most of my clients are regular everyday people. Like a lot of them didn't go to college. A lot of them didn't go to high school, get all the way through high school. They're not looking through my stuff with like a fine tooth comb. Like they're more like, does this guy seem like someone who's going to talk down to me? Does this guy seem like somebody I can trust? Oh, he just highlighted the little town where my grandma lived. Like that's what they're looking at for me. Like they're not seeing if I said too many times. Anytime I do a video for people, because we go do these business highlights, everyone's always so worried about how many times they say it. And most people don't care. I mean, there might be somebody that cares, but they're not going to like you anyway. Most people don't. It's all in our head. I mean, and the funniest thing is we do these videos for other people. We've done like 300 of them. Every one of them, and most of these people are not content creators. They haven't done videos. Every single one of them, almost without fail, always feels like they did awful. And every single one of them turns out fine. As an objective person, they're always surprised how good they look, like how good they sound. Once you see it produced, it's better. When you're doing it, it feels bad. Usually, if I watch it later, it's not as bad as you feel. It's just weird. Yeah. But it's not for everybody. I mean, I don't like writing big, long essays all the time. So I'm not going to write like a marketing channel. I'm not going to write big, long articles for the ABA. I could do it, but I don't want to. So I'm not going to. I'd rather do videos and networking. So you got to pick your lane, I think, sometimes.
Oh, and then that's really good advice. Like if you're comfortable on video, do video. If you're comfortable writing, do long form articles. Like all of that is media is still on the table and it's still valid. It's just what you're passionate about. And if you're passionate about it, the results will be better.
Yeah.
And I was rolling my eyes about well, not rolling my eyes, but cringing, I guess, because last week my husband and I were on our way to dinner and I was listening to one of my podcasts. And like every time I said one of my hedge words, I was like, I'm mentally like counting it. And
Yeah.
I just hate it. I hate hearing it. But you're right. Like if you're not used to doing podcasts, I've done this podcast. You're actually, I think my 76th episode, 75 was
Nice.
just released. And some people come on the show, it's their first podcast ever, and they're really nervous. And I tell them, like, you will be surprised when the episode comes out. You will listen to it and think, I sound smarter than I thought I did.
Yeah.
And nobody's told me I've been wrong since I've said that to people. And it's just the way it is. I don't think we have the mental brain power to analyze ourselves as we speak and
No
be
way.
accurate about it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when in undergrad and I worked and I went to school at night and I took one class a semester. So I had my pick, I didn't have to take that many. So I kept putting off public speaking, which I had to take because I didn't want to. No one wanted to. And then I finally had to take it. And they made us do 15-minute speech up in front of the class. Now that just seems like eternity when you're 23 or 4, whatever, don't have much confidence. And I went up there and the professor taped us, which just made it worse. And this was like, it wasn't on a phone or TikTok. It was like I don't think it was a VHS. It might have been a DVD. I don't know. But she taped it. And then I went up there and I felt like I was like stuttering like an idiot. And then she gave us the video and we had to take it home as part of the project and watch ourselves. So I remember taking it home with my wife like 2 days later, like, you want to watch something really bad? And I put it in and then we watched it and she was like, that's pretty good. And I was like, like the road wasn't that bad, like the little flub up was like this much, but it felt like it was like a 30-second stammer and it wasn't. And ever since then, I just kind of knew what you said, like we can't really judge ourselves and most people aren't listening. And the other thing is, okay, some people do sound better than others, for sure. Some people are very eloquent and smooth, and some people do get a little more nervous. But if you are the nervous type, guess what? You still will make connections with people because other people watching it who are scared to be on videos may feel connected with you. Like at least you did it, and you will get better. And it's just like anything else. Like you'll get better if you do it more. You'll get more comfortable. And if you're not everybody's a politician, that's going to be like perfectly smooth, like Obama or whatever, like that's not everyone. Most people are not that good. And the funniest thing is the videos I do for other people, some of the people that are the most rough around the edges, I just posted one a few weeks ago as an old farmer guy. He's never done a video. You can tell just by looking at him, this is not a TikTok type of guy. That video did great because it got people's attention. Like this old guy is a farmer and he sounds like a farmer. He looks like a farmer and people like that. So people just got to get out of our own head sometimes. And I was guilty of that early on too. I doubted myself about all sorts of stuff. And most of it was just in my head, and it's sad because I think some people go through their whole life that way.
One of the first times I spoke on stage, I came off stage and it was like having a blackout. I did not remember what happened. And I walked up to somebody I worked with and I said, was it good? I don't even remember. And they're like, it was great. It was so great. And it was an okay talk. People liked it, but I had no idea. And it's weird how you just really can't sometimes judge yourself. You have to be able to sit and watch yourself on video, which I've
Mm-hmm.
done a lot at this point. And from that, you can learn how to improve, but you have to be able to sit with it. You have to be able
Yeah.
to sit and watch a video of yourself talking and tolerate it. And that's hard. That's really
Yeah, it
hard.
is. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's what this professor I had years ago, almost 20 years ago, knew. And that's why she made us do it. And it did. I remember that day. I've had more confidence public speaking ever since that day because I thought I was awful and I was like, yeah, it wasn't great, but it wasn't really bad. I mean, it wasn't that bad. Not near as bad as I thought. And I just kind of hopefully just carry that on. And sometimes you're going to screw up. I mean, the thing is, like, if someone gets up and gives a talk and I can tell they're nervous, do you think negatively of them? I don't. I might say they're not the greatest public speaker right now, but I don't think negatively about them, about whatever their profession is. If I'm hiring you to do digital marketing, I want you to be good at that. I kind of assume you're probably not the greatest speech giver. It doesn't really make sense for you to be. You like computers and, nerding out on code or whatever. Like lawyers kind of should be if you're a trial lawyer, I guess. I mean, but most lawyers aren't even that. So if you're a contract lawyer and you're kind of nervous on a big stage, I wouldn't even think that you're a worse contract lawyer. So I think it's mostly like we said, it's just we try to hold ourselves back. And if you screw up, it's fine. Other people in the crowd have screwed up worse and you'll screw up something else again. Like as long as you're doing something that's not embarrassing, like, on videos, like keep your credibility, keep your honest, keep your integrity, don't lie, things like that. That's the only thing I would ever hold against someone, not sounding nervous or looking nervous. I just wouldn't.
And then you touched on something else with a farmer who did a video with you guys, but authenticity wins out on social media. And when you think about it, so much what we see when we scroll through TikTok and Instagram is staged, fabricated, AI, but people really have an eye for authenticity. And so if you present that, people actually really do care about what an old farmer has to say, probably when they
Yeah.
spent the last like 25 minutes seeing a bunch of BS, right?
Yeah, I think it's true.
Yeah. I don't have anything more to say except, just be authentic. And I mean, you're doing a great job of it. You guys do fantastic work with your content.
Thank you. We're always trying to make it better. I mean, I'm usually trying to come up with a new series every year because, but it's kind of a shiny object. So this year I did, and I'm just going to double down on what we had been doing and do more of them. Trying to do one of those business highlights for someone every single day of the year, which is a lot. Just setting them all up is a lot, but we're trying. People seem to like it. It's hard to track all the time, like how much it helps you or how much it doesn't. But I know a lot of people see it and they see us in like a light that we're getting back to the community. And I think that's all you can do to try to beat some of the bigger firms. I mean, I don't have $100 million to spend on TV all over the Midwest or whatever. You got to do what you can afford and what you think. And I enjoy doing it. I mean, you got to pick something you kind of like doing, I think, in life, or you're not going to do it very long, or you're going to hate your life, so.
You might as well have fun doing it because I do see a lot of law firms and attorneys try to force themselves into like a formula for making content because Google just has to see it this way. And it's like, why can't we just talk about making good content? Why can't we just talk about what would be entertaining or fun to read? And, trying to push people in that direction with the law firms I coach and the people that I coach on marketing. Don't worry about formulaic nonsense. Just make a good article. You don't have to copy someone. But that's
Yeah.
hard to do when you're not used to making content.
Yeah, it is. And it's scary. I wasn't, immune to that. When I started in videos, I was conscious like, oh, what are the attorneys going to think? What are the older judges are going to think, conservative counties I practice in? Are they going to think, like I wasn't on there dancing and acting a fool. I don't do that. But to them, maybe they think you need to be super serious all the time. But I really have, I'm sure there's some people who hate it, but I've had judges and bailiffs and stuff whisper to me, like, we like your content. We went and ate tacos at that place you highlight. So like, I haven't gotten a lot of negative feedback, really. I'm sure there's a few people that don't like it, but not everyone's going to hire you anyway. You got to be yourself, and the people that are going to like you, they're going to be the good clients anyway. The clients that I get off social media are usually the best ones. My intake team don't have to make a sell on them. They already chose us. Like, they want us to help them. They're the better clients.
That's the absolute benefit of referral marketing, organic marketing. Because when you build it up the right way, then people connect with you like for real, and they're not gonna make another choice. They know you. They're already locked in. And that's what I love about what you all do and your videos on TikTok and some of the stuff that I see you guys create. Very authentic. And it's a lesson, I feel like, for a lot of the other law firms who are just trying to, game their way through Google or try to figure out how to get more engagement on their LinkedIn content, which, I do too. We're nearing like the end of the recording time, but there was
Okay.
one question I kept kind of dinging around in my head as I was thinking about what we were recording today. Maybe I've lost it. Wheel, is there something that you wanted to talk about that we didn't cover today? Because we stayed pretty much on social media and content, which
Yeah.
you guys are great at. I don't want to pigeonhole you.
Well, I mean, we do everything else. I mean, I'm not on TV or radio, like mass radio, but we do all the SEO on the local stuff. And that's kind of, probably, as you guys know, that's kind of been in big flux lately. Even the last couple of months, I've seen some changes, not all for the better. But that's why I like social media so much, because it's like, if you have a following, even if it's on multiple platforms, you got an email list. That's the only thing you can kind of own is your brand and your personality. And they can always change the stuff online, and you're going to have to be at the whims of Google. And I didn't love that. So I started years ago putting more and more money into just building a brand, but I still do all the Google stuff and LSA. I think that stuff works too, obviously. And I just say anyone out there that is scared to get online, like, you can reach out to me. I'm not going to like charge you, or anything. I've done it with plenty of people. And I've had a few people I've talked to, and they're doing a pretty good job. And I think I'll help you and tell you kind of find your voice. I mean, I think part of it's just talking with someone, having them tell you it'll be okay, and maybe supporting you along the way, give me some ideas. There are some strategies that help, but I think people worry way more about like what they're going to hashtag and how they're going to edit their video than they need to. Like, I don't edit anything hardly. My video guy does for the business people. When I'm on the phone, I don't edit anything. I just talk and post it. And if it looks crappy, it looks crappy. I'm a lawyer, not a video editor anyway. Like, what would they expect?
I aspire to have a video editor the way you have a video editor because there's just so much that I want to record. And, Daniela does a great job, but I am kind of jealous of that. You mentioned the email list, which reminded me what my question was, so I have to get it out. Do you funnel your social media contacts? I mean, I think you basically said that you work on your list building, but do you actively try to get people off like TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn onto your mailing list, or is it just happen incidentally?
Not as much as I should. I mean, I've kind of blew up on TikTok before I wouldn't have expected it. And before I knew, I got like 80 something thousand people on there. So now it's like, well, now I probably should try to get some of these people on the email list. But yeah, I have like almost 90,000 followers on TikTok. I think I got 8,000 or something on my email list, which ain't bad, but not all of them for sure. I mean, it's not nothing. I think then I mail a paper newsletter to about 2,000 old clients and contacts. So doing decent, but we could have been better if I started earlier. I only started the paper newsletter within the last year. I mean, I've learned from where you guys, from Ben and Brian, them, I know they're big on that. And some other people I follow. So at first I didn't have that many clients to reach out to. So I was just always about how do I grow. And then before I realized, I was like, I actually do have a lot of old clients now. I mean, before you know it. So it's never too early to start building that list. But I was mostly on TikTok. I have started doing more on Facebook and Instagram and other platforms just because I got worried, is it going to get banned? Or, I think it's not good to have all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
I think now it seems like it's safe, but I should probably tell them to go on my thing. But it's also kind of against my normal vibe on there is like just talking and not selling it. But at the end, I'm always like and subscribe and go to my email list. Like I just don't feel like me, and it just doesn't. But I probably could put in my bio, maybe. I mean, there's ways to get around it, but I have not done a great job at that, I wouldn't think.
Well, and that's the trick. I mean, that's what influencers do, health coaches, fitness coaches,
Yeah.
all the people who sell from social media. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't quite figured out a seamless way for personal injury attorneys to do it. And you're the only TikTok personal injury attorney who's doing really well at it. So, it's a category of a small number of attorneys actually doing social media and needing to try to leverage it in that way.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Josh, for being on the show and talking with us about content and social media. Where do you want people to look you up and follow you?
Well, I need to get them on my email list, sounds like, but yeah, we'll work on that later. I mean, if you look me up, the hometownlawyers.com, that's our website. We got a few offices in Southwest Ohio. And then on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, I'm the hometown lawyer with no S. The website has an S because there's multiple of us. YouTube as well. And Facebook, it's Josh Hodges. I got a hometown lawyer Facebook, and then I just have one under my name. And reach out. I'd like to talk to you. I'm on LinkedIn as well, just under my name, Josh Hodges there. Trying to be all over, and I'm always trying to, talk to more people on these. It's interesting to see what other people are doing. Every week I learn something from someone else doing, some sort of marketing tactic that I just never thought of. That's why I like marketing and running a business. So there's a lot of smart people in our space. And I think a lot of people actually share more than people think. They think lawyers are so greedy, but I've never really felt like that. I mean, there might be a handful, but most lawyers, anytime I've reached out to a lawyer that I feel like's further ahead than me, they've almost always been gracious and helped me. So I'm definitely willing to help out anybody if you reach out to me. If I don't get back to you, I just missed it. So hit me up on TikTok or somewhere like that. We'll talk.
No. I'm waiting for people to figure out that this podcast is a way for me to needle my guests for marketing ideas that I can use.
Yeah.
But so far, nobody's called me out on it. Maybe now they will. I've let the cat out of the bag. Well, thanks so much again, Josh, and for being on the show. And for everyone else, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.